All right. Good evening and welcome to the Marshfield Planning Board meeting of Monday, December 13th, 2021. With us tonight, we have Nick Papastratis, Fred Monaco, Kevin Cantwell, myself, Catherine O'Donnell, Greg Guimond, our town planner, and Karen Horn, our assistant planner. Can I have I'll make a motion to open the meeting. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, roll call vote. Fred?
Aye.
Nick?
Nick
I think
Papastratis.
Fred. Sorry.
Awesome. Fred Monaco, aye.
Nick?
Nick Papastratis, aye.
Kevin?
Kevin Cantwell, aye.
And Katie O'Donnell, aye. Okay, with that, the meeting is opened, and I think we can go to I'll make a motion to open the public hearing for street improvements to a portion of California Street and to Holyoke Avenue. Do I have a second?
I'll second it. Fred Monaco.
Hi, Nick.
Nick Papastratis, aye.
Kevin.
Kevin Cantwell, aye.
And Katie O'Donnell, aye. So do we have an applicant here tonight?
The applicant engineer is here and will speak for the project and has been made co-host so we can show the plans.
Okay, I'll turn it over to
All right,
Jamie.
Good evening. Jamie Bissonette, Zenith Consulting Engineers. I'm here along with the applicant, who is Mr. Elliot Schneider. He's also along with me. And Ms. Chairwoman, if I may, I'd like to share the screen.
Absolutely.
Thank you. All right, so tonight we have a road improvement plan before you for California Street, which is a private way off of Holyoke Street. Right now, the existing way or the existing traveled path actually falls outside of the right-of-way lines, as you can see here, and comes up and then comes back into the right-of-way lanes. There's a house, an existing dwelling up on the westerly side, northwesterly side of California, and also there's a dwelling right at the beginning on the westerly side in this area here. I believe this parcel to be town-owned, and these parcels up in here also to be owned by the town. And I believe there's a dwelling here with a drainage easement of some type and buffer in this area here, which we have zero plans on touching. Because I believe it's restricted not to be touched. If I may, I'll proceed with the proposed plan. So as part of our proposed layout plan, we're looking to improve California Street within the right of way. So you can see the existing roadway construction and where we're actually placing the roadway now. We're also doing some improvements to the intersection because of, I guess, some discussions with the town and the applicant. So the roadway out here would be 20 feet wide with berm on each side. And up in this vicinity would be 18 feet wide with 1 foot berms on each side as well. At the end of the road on the easterly side, we're proposing a 3-bedroom dwelling that will have municipal water and on-site septic. We've already been through the Board of Health, received perks and approval on the septic system design. As part of our design plan, we also submitted a drainage report that was reviewed by the peer engineer for the town, Amory Engineering, who was online tonight as well. They did have some comments in a review letter, none of which I disagree with. I think that Mr. Brennan's a fantastic engineer and respect every one of his comments. In this layout in particular, what we did was we have a couple of catch basins to catch the runoff from the construction in the area, and we're looking to do infiltration via leaching pits with crushed stone wrapped around them. Over the top of it, we're creating a depression to actually be able to hold some of that water as well. And we have a catch basin grate in the top so that water, if it's collected in that area, can also get in or surcharge into that area if need be. In full disclosure right now, this area, including the road, models out as having a flooding situation during large storm events. This is a depression over in here. And so what we did was when we did the design, the reason that the drainage system is so large is that we wanted to make sure that we were not only handling the runoff that we're creating from the impervious, but that we weren't exacerbating the flooding situation. So as noted on our plans, the drainage calculation for the 100-year storm, the depth of water that is in the road is the same as it would be pre and post development, meaning that that the height of the water will be no higher. So that's why it's requiring so many additional basins for this drainage system to function appropriately. This small of a paved area typically would require much, much less. As you can see from the profile, the grades are actually pretty gentle. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can get a better view. You can see roughly 3.75% with a small low point in here, a curve, and then 3.4% catching into existing grade. So very gentle slopes on the asphalt itself. And again, what that does is we're creating a low point here for the catch basins so that they can collect the stormwater and discharge it into this area. If on sheet 3 of this set, we have our construction details. I'm not sure if anyone has any questions on them, but I'd be happy to review them or go over them. I know that Amory also, they took a look through this and had a couple of comments or suggestions, all of which I've read through and I have no problem with. So at this time, I think unless there's any specific questions, I'm happy to answer or address any additional items that you may have.
Okay. Let's see here. I don't have any particular questions right now. Does any other members of the board before I go to Pat and Greg?
No.
Okay. Since you've mentioned Pat Brennan and Amory several times, I think that maybe I'll go to Pat first, and then
Sure.
Greg will get your thoughts as well.
Sure.
Great, thank you. Pat Brennan with Amory Engineers. I reviewed the project, submitted a letter to the board dated November 10th with basically 13 comments. I'll just run through them very, very quickly. As Jamie mentioned, HydroCAD calculations show that the proposed drainage system will adequately mitigate all of the storms up to and including the 100-year storm, and that's required. They haven't done any test holes up there, so they have a note on the sheet that says that it'll be conducted in the area of the infiltration system prior to construction. I'm pretty familiar with the soils up in this area. They're generally fairly sandy. It's a deep water table, so I'm really not worried about it. So I think that would be acceptable. And if the board were to approve the project, I'd probably just make it a condition of approval. They're proposing high-density polyethylene pipe, which is the plastic pipe. DPW within the roadway layouts, they require reinforced concrete. Just to provide for easier inspection and maintenance in the future, I'm suggesting a couple more manhole covers on those dry well pits. One on each end would probably suffice. And I recommend connecting pipes between the pits. Right now, there's nothing connecting them other than the stone in between them. The erosion controls, they have erosion controls described in their construction operation and maintenance schedule on the drawings, but they don't show the locations on the plan, so they should be shown. The proposed water main is 6 inch. I understand from DPW that the 6 inch is acceptable, or they would like a hydrant at the end, and DPW actually said that they would provide the hydrant so that the applicant could install it at the end. That's mainly for flushing purposes. The plan shows, if you look right where right where the HOL is in Holyoke, there's an existing driveway on the north side of the street right there. They're showing the Cape Cod berm going across that driveway. I looked at that driveway actually goes up slightly before it grades down to the garage, so there's no reason to have a Cape Cod berm there. And there's actually pavement already past there, so I don't think they need to put that Cape Cod berm in that location. Jamie just said that they already have Board of Health approval for the septic, so my next comment was in relation to that. My next comment just had a number of things that are required on the street improvement plans that they need to add to the plan. I won't run through them all, but there's a few that they need to add. I had a comment about where the placement of the binder course should be in the construction sequence of operations that's shown in the drawings. And then the note 4 on sheet E should reference the current firm, which is the FEMA flood map, which is July 6th this year. I think it references the 2016 map. So not that there's flood zone in this area anyway, but just to be consistent. So that was it. I'd be happy to answer any questions if anybody has anything.
Do any other board members have questions at this time?
No, I'm me, Katie.
Nope.
Okay, Greg. Thanks, Pat.
Thanks, Pat, too.
Thanks, Pat.
Katie, I did have a resident come in and ask about either boulders or a guardrail at the end of California Street to block access to the town property. So if you slide right in that area, as some of you may know, we've been having a lot of problems with the town-owned land protecting it right up there adjacent, and they felt by paving the road right to that spot where, basically saying, come on, drive in. So they would like some type of boulders or something there to block that. It sounds like there's 9 comments on Pat's stuff that would need changes to the plans. So I was thinking instead of having them revise the plans, we go with writing them as conditions to approval if that's what the board would like to do, and then require as an additional condition an as-built plan for this. And the reason I'm saying it that way is because they haven't done those test holes yet. When they do the test holes, things may change anyway. Pat, does that sound logical?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anything's going to change, but yeah,
Okay.
I think that's reasonable.
All right. So DPW did send some last minute comments. Pat mentioned 2 of them. They do require the reinforced concrete pipe for the drainage. That was their 3rd comment. Their 4th comment was, and I don't really, because I haven't been up in this area recently, they asked for some type of bollard on Holyoke to help redirect traffic because, and I thought they weren't really changing the traffic pattern on Holyoke. I thought they were changing the traffic pattern on California. But Rod had sent the comment, which I did send to Jamie and to Elliot and to Pat. But this was I got this at 6:16 tonight. And then the last comment from the DPW was that the leaching systems have a limited span of life without maintenance. We know this. We don't have a overall drainage plan for this sub area of Silver Pines. And my recommendation to the board is not with this application, but we should start having a discussion with DPW to see if there's a way we could come up with a drainage system to handle this one similar. We had another area in Silver Pines that the drainage now actually goes across the street, across Ferry Street and into a gravel pit. I don't think it would work in this particular area, but we should be looking at a long-term solution because I agree over time, the leaching systems will fail if they're not constantly cleaned out. So that's it on my comments.
Okay, I guess actually here, and I'll open it. Do we have any butters or any members of the public who have questions or concerns?
Jamie, could you stop sharing for a minute so I could see all the screens? All right, I don't see any hands up. I don't see anything in chat.
Okay. So Greg, I totally agree with DPW about putting boulders at the end of the street there to try to block that. And is that something that the applicant would be able to do along with this work?
I don't think we'd have a problem with that.
Okay. So I would think if we could add that to the conditions.
Yep.
And any other members of the board have questions?
Yeah, just clarifying one thing. So Holyoke is 20 foot plus 1 foot berms on either side, and then California is 18 plus 1 foot on either side. Is that right?
That is correct. The areas that we're improving, that's the dimensions.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Okay. With that, I would make a motion that we approve the street improvements with the conditions as discussed, as suggested by
Pat Brennan,
and DPW, and requiring an as-built. Anything else I should add to that?
and the boulders.
And the boulders, yeah.
And both,
Oh.
yeah.
So Katie, you might want to close the public hearing first and then go back. to the
Okay. Yes. All right, so I'll motion to close the public hearing for California Street. Do I have a second?
Kevin Cantwell, second.
Okay. And then Kevin, do you want to vote while you're seconding?
Kevin Cantwell, yes.
Okay, Fred,
Oh, yes.
Nick,
Pat Pastratus, aye.
Katie O'Donnell, aye. Okay, so the public hearing is closed. And now I'll revisit. So I'll make a motion that we approve the street improvements to portion of California Street and to Holyoke Avenue with conditions as suggested from Amory Engineering and DPW, and with the discussion of adding boulders and also requiring an as-built plan. Do I have a second?
Kevin Cantwell, second.
All right, roll call vote. Kevin,
Kevin Cantwell, yes.
Fred? You're
Fred, we
muted.
didn't hear you. Try again. Fred, are you muted? You're not muted.
Fred, we have to hear your voice.
Fred, yes, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Nick?
Nick Papastratus, aye.
All right, Katie O'Donnell, aye. With that, motion passes. And thank you for coming in. Any other questions? Follow up?
No, thank you for your time. It's appreciated very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night. Thanks.
Pat, do you need to go? Oh, I guess so.
Yeah, I gotta
I
jump on
heard you had
a,
another meeting.
yeah, I gotta jump on a hang-up meeting now.
All right.
All right, miles to go. Okay, so I'll make a motion to open the public hearing on subdivision and special permit rules and regulations. Do I have a second?
Kevin Cantwell, second.
All right, roll call vote. Kevin,
Kevin Cantwell, aye.
Fred,
Fred Monaco, aye.
Nick,
Nick Papastratus, aye.
Katie O'Donnell, aye. So the public hearing is open, and I'll turn it over to Greg.
Thank you, Katie. So there's 3 different areas where we're making some proposed changes to the rules and regs. The first one, Chapter 405, subdivision of land. We discussed these like over a year ago, but we put them on hold until we had another public hearing. I didn't want to hit our advertising because our advertising budget isn't that much. So there are 10 changes here. The first one is changing the number of definitive plan sets from 14 full-size prints, 24 by 36, to 3. Same thing on the drainage calcs. For the full drainage calcs, instead of 4 copies, 2 copies, 1 for our office, 1 for DPW. The third change is to have them put their submittals in the PDF format. The fourth change is extending the length of dead end. Currently it is 600 feet. The proposal is to go to 800 feet. The next change, number 5, is, and this is based on a recent court activity, changing the cul-de-sac bubble that it's either the offset design as shown in the subdivision plans right now or regulations, or an on-center design. Most of the plans we see, the cul-de-sac is on center, but in our rules and regs, it shows up as off center. And a judge recently had some difficulty with the fact that our cul-de-sac was off center and not on center. If that's what we're asking for, then that should be the requirement. And I wanted to make it clear that it could be one way or the other. It doesn't have to be off center. Number 6 is making it clearer and easier to clean out the forebay. So we allow a forebay facility in the cul-de-sac. But some of the materials that people have been putting in the forebays are not easy to clean out the forebay. So we wanted to make it clear that this is just for forebay, you know, that pre-cleaning, and that the materials used in there at the plantings have to be able to clean it out readily. The next change is to allow street trees to either be planted within the right-of-way or within a 20-foot wide tree easement just outside of the right-of-way. Now, when we have a 40-foot layout and we have sidewalks on 2 sides, the street trees are often pushing sidewalks up because of the roots and stuff. And by having the trees outside of the right-of-way, we have less problems with conflicts with the concrete sidewalks. I've seen this in several subdivisions in Duxbury have already gone this route. And I have talked to several engineering firms, and they thought that this was also a good way of avoiding complications with the concrete sidewalks being pushed up by the roots. The next change is for the removal of the fire alarm boxes. So in the old days, we used to have that metal post with the metal box with the little signal thing and stuff. That's not required anymore. And they've actually been taken out of all the subdivisions that they used to be put in. So we're removing that as a requirement in the rules and regs. The 9th change is for open space and trails. So we've had language in there to talk about open space, but we've never said that we should check with Conservation Commission and the Recreation Trails Committee and open space committees. Does it make sense to put a trail in this open space, et cetera? So we're adding that language to the rules and regs. And then the last change is on the vertical and slope block granite curbing. We used to have it on the outside and the inside of the cul-de-sac, which made it on like Strawberry Fields or whatever that subdivision, makes it very tough because of the sharp radius. Even with a 20-foot wide pavement, it's difficult to get 2 cars around that cul-de-sac at the same time, never mind something larger than a car. So this would allow the Cape Cod berm on the outside radius of the cul-de-sac, which is usually the people's lawns. And the inside where that drainage forebay could be, we have that curbing to keep people from driving off and into the drainage forebay. So those are the 10 changes on the subdivision of land. The next one is for Chapter 414, Plan Mixed Use Development Overlay, which Karen did yeoman service on this one, because this had several years of zoning changes to PMUDs that we had not changed and updated the rules and regs to reflect. One of the most recent changes was we just changed it from 1105 to 1306 at the last town meeting, because we put all the PMUD requirements, because it's an overlay, in the section 13, which is where all the other overlays are. Other changes include the old days, we had a 2-step process for PMUDs where you had to come in with a subdivision first, then you came back with the special permit. We had done away with that probably 5 years, 6 years ago, but we hadn't changed the rules and regs. So that first group of pages on pages 2 and stuff, and portion of 3 was to change that into just a simplified 1-step process. On page 3 also, we special permits, we have more special permits that we have now, residential over commercial, et cetera. So it's not just water resource protection district. So on page 2, we've changed it to make it any other special permits, then you do it concurrently with us. Also here, we reduced the 16 original plans to 3. We don't need all those plans anymore. We don't need all the paper. It does require the PDF format again on the submittals. And then the next like 5 pages of changes, primarily what we did there is because we got rid of the 2-step process and stuff, there was a lot of things that were requirements of plans and review standards, but they were all kind of mixed together. And what Karen did was reorganize them and put the plan requirements first. And then on page 5 and 6, did the plan, the standards for the review and stuff. So it clarified and separated out the two where they got kind of muddied in that two-step process in the middle. And then pages 10 and 11 are all the stuff that we basically, when we reorganized, it got changed. It either got changed into letters or numbers. So a lot of the things are still there, but instead of asking for something twice now, we only ask for it once. And we tried to clarify the way we're requesting things and making sure that we're not asking for something several different ways that don't make sense. It took quite a while. She did a very good job on this part. And that's pretty much, we did not change the fees. We just changed the application from the phase 1 and the phase 2. So there's no changes on the fees. So that's the changes on the plan mixed overlay district. And then the last changes was to come up with new rules and regs for the mixed use residential above commercial special permits. So that is all new language. There's like 5 pages of the new language here on here's your submittal. Here's the one, what the applicant that you could have a pre-application conference, what's needed in the application, what are your design standards, what's the fees, what's the planning board's review. So in this one, we've made it clear that there's A, B, C, D, that you have a distribution of plans, that you have a submittal of comments, that you have a decision report, and that modifications are handled by, this is how you do modifications. We do have some language about the deposition, how to handle the application, and then a waiver of full compliance, your performance guarantee, and then the typical severability clause. So those are the proposed changes to the planning board rules and regs. These do not require going to town meeting. It is basically planning board public hearing. And then after the planning board public hearing, the planning board votes whether or not they would like to approve the changes. If they do, we get those changes down to the town clerk. And when it's stamped in by the town clerk, then it is deemed our new rules and regs.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, that was a lot.
Sorry, and I'm scrolling. I'm looking. We're not even looking at the Zoom screen here.
So this was a combined, some of these things I've been working on for a while. And then once Karen came in, Karen started, well, what about this? And what about that? So we did a little more than we originally were thinking, but it cleans up a number of different things that have been kind of long-standing changes that should have happened.
So it's Karen's fault?
No, not Karen's fault. Karen was a huge help. Karen's like, why do you do it this way?
These are all the things I've been waiting for the last 10 years to do.
So I do have one question. The cul-de-sac length, 600 to 800, what's the background on that?
So we're constantly asked about longer cul-de-sacs, et cetera. We have a requirement for 8 houses, that you can have up to 8 houses on a cul-de-sac. So we had people that wanted 1,000 feet. We had people that wanted 14,000 feet. We had people that liked it at 600, police and fire are very comfortable, especially fire with 600, but felt that we could go up to 800. I thought that
Okay.
was reasonable to go up to the 800.
Okay.
So Greg, the 8-house limit on a cul-de-sac, that would still exist. So there's
Yeah, that still exists.
for additional structures or additional residences.
And it was funny because, again, with that court case, the judge focused in on the fact that we allowed longer than 600-foot cul-de-sacs all over the place, but we had a firm requirement to 8 houses as a limit for that approval. So, and we tried to explain that, well, look, sometimes you need a longer road, and if there's public benefits and other, type of things, that the board could waive it. But he's like, no, you were waiving it all over the place. It seems like everybody that comes in asks for a waiver. So he felt that we should be more consistent. So I felt by going the 800, we're making it a little longer and making it less necessary every time you walk in for a waiver.
Okay. But we're not increasing density by doing so.
No,
Yeah.
and we still have that limit of 8 units on a cul-de-sac. That if you went further than that, you would have to show some type of public benefit and stuff. So in the past, it was the fire department, it was also the water department, and I talked to both of them several times. We had been working on this a couple of years ago, and they were both okay with the 800. They were not comfortable going 1,000 or 1,200 or 14.
Okay. Any other questions?
Nope.
I actually have one that with the filing fees and everything, and I love that you and Karen have worked and made it so much more clear about what's expected from applicants. And I was just wondering, since we're not talking about any specific application right now, do we see many applicants who come in and that their initial plans have errors that have to be found and corrected? And, do they regularly request all of the waivers, or when you and Karen are reviewing the plans, do you need to remind them to add things and all of that? Is there any kind of, I was almost wondering if there's any kind
Discount for good behavior?
a fee, like a penalty, if you're not, if you're requiring more of the planning department's time to, I think we've gotten a lot better with like incomplete filings or, errors in filings, but would there be a way to have some kind of a disclaimer there if somebody were to submit a filing that required additional time because of errors on the applicant's part? Or do you think that that's not an issue?
Well, I mean, it does happen, especially if we have a new engineering firm. Certain firms have been doing stuff here for a long time and have kind of gotten used to the drill. And it's every once in a while you get a new firm that comes in that doesn't aren't regular to the rules and regs in Marshfield, because each of the town's rules and regs vary, in some cases quite drastically and stuff. And that, so my gut feeling is that I don't think it's necessary, but we do have occasional problems especially when a new firm comes in. And it's not particularly their fault that they're a new firm, but they're missing certain things and we do have to spend a little extra time. I think the more key to it is to try to get them to do those pre-conference applications with us. So we can run through the checklists and stuff and make sure that they have a better application walking in. And we do try to do that diligently, flag things when we know something might be an issue.
Yes.
I think we also try to go through that before we schedule the first public hearing so that it doesn't drag out the hearing process.
Yeah, I was just wondering if, I feel like it looks so good by the time that it gets to us in the public hearings. And so I just wanted to check and see if that's an issue, beforehand.
I'm expecting that you'll see a couple of applications coming in where they're going to want guidance or direction from the board. They'll know what staff wants, but they want to hear it from you guys before they will commit to certain things. So
I really like applications that conform to our bylaws. That's what I like to see. But anyway, any other thoughts from board members? Do we want to vote on this tonight? Do people?
if you guys could, that would be nice. So we can get them to the town clerk, because we are expecting some PMUD applications and some residential above commercial applications.
Okay. All right. With that, I'll make a motion to approve the changes, the proposed changes to the subdivision and special permit rules and regulations. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion, Fred.
Okay. Thanks, Fred. Roll call vote. Fred?
Aye.
Kevin?
Cantwell, aye.
Nick?
Nick Papastratis, aye.
Katie O'Donnell, aye. Clearly, I don't have a pattern to go by tonight, so I'm sorry. Sorry, Nick.
You're doing okay,
Colin.
Katie. Don't worry about it. You're doing fine.
All right. Okay. So that passes. And so we'll move on to the vote on the Quincy Credit Union special permit. Greg, do you?
So we've had the draft for quite a while. The one change that we've done is Karen updated the November 15th, 2021 date. Otherwise, it is unchanged. They did make an additional planting, which was the thing that held us up at the first public hearing. They've added another tree to the site plan and stuff, and staff is happy with that. Steve, do you have anything you need to add?
No, Greg, I'm good. I'm just here for moral support and clarification purposes.
Okay.
Okay. So with that, I'll make, any questions from the board?
No.
All right.
No.
That make a motion that we approve the special permit for the Quincy Credit Union as written. Do I have a second?
I'll second. Nick Papastratis.
All right, roll call vote. Nick?
Nick Papastratis, aye.
Fred?
Fred Monaco, aye.
Kevin?
Kevin Cantwell, aye.
Katie O'Donnell, aye.
So I will need you guys tomorrow or as soon as you can this week to come in, and we'll have it ready for you guys to sign first thing in the morning.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Good night. All right. That takes us to board and staff and meeting dates for 2022 and any other updates.
So I think Karen had given you draft dates for meetings for next year.
Was that in the past?
It was from a couple, Karen's still muted. It was from a couple of meetings ago, I think.
I mean,
Karen?
Yes, it was sent out several times.
oh boy. Sorry.
Well, let's. Craig, I think it's in the planning board meetings folder,
Okay.
and there's a Word document of the dates.
I mean, I'm not planning on starting.
All right, so the
Make
dates
it work.
are
Well, you
January
could
10th.
share it.
January 10th. Oh, I could screen share. Yes, I could. We do have that technology. Hold on 1 second. Share. All right. Do you see those?
Yeah.
January 10th, January 24th, February 7th, 28th, 14th and 28th of March, 11th, 25th of April, 9th, 23rd of May, June 6th. I don't like that day. June 20th, July 11th, July 25th, August 8th, and 22nd. How do I get, here we go. September 12th, October 13th, October 17th, which will probably conflict with town meeting, November 7th, November 21st, December 5th.
I don't have an issue with any of those, so.
Yeah, do we need to vote this, or is this just a?
Yeah, well, yeah, then that's what we set up for the dates for applications and stuff.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the proposed planning board meeting dates for 2022. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion. Fred Monaco.
All right, roll call vote. Fred,
Fred Monaco, aye.
Nick,
Nick Papastratus, aye.
Kevin,
Kevin Cantwell,
Katie O'Donnell, aye. All right, any other board and staff updates?
We filled in the paperwork to finish off the grant on the flashing pedestrian lights for the bridle path for the 3 locations. We were very fortunate. We had some support from CPC. We were a few $1,000s short, and CPC assisted with us. And that wrapped up that. We got that all done. We had a deadline of December, and we had it in place prior to December.
Very nice.
Karen, do you have anything you want to add?
No.
Apparently a few things walked in while I was away, but you guys will find out about them soon enough. We're working on them.
Yeah, several concept plans.
Oh, boy. Sounds good.
All right. Do we have any requests for advice?
We
from
do.
people?
We have a ZBA meeting tomorrow night. Our timing is right this time around. Karen's looked at them, and the only one that we have a question on is whether or not you guys want to comment on Bud's second wall sign. So the marijuana that used to be at the Buckles and Boards place would like a second wall sign so you can see it when you're coming in from Pembroke on 139 sooner than when you're passing the building. So their current sign is on the front of the building, and they want to put one on their side.
On the Lone Street side.
On the Lone Street side. It would require a variance.
Because they wouldn't see the sign at the street?
Apparently.
Well, you would see it prior, so you would know I have to slow down and turn into Lone Street.
Because they have a standing sign and they have a sign on the front of the building. So they need an additional sign.
Is that usually what that's not pretty common there, is it, Greg?
Well,
On
at
that-
the
on
last
that-
meeting, the ZBA denied giving a second wall sign to McDonald's, and all it was going to be is an M.
Okay.
So
I
I don't
think
know.
it's excessive to me. I mean, the way that the building is and where it's set back a little bit, I don't see having it on that
Yeah.
side is increase
Yeah.
their visibility in any way. And then I think it just opens the door to, that's a
Yeah.
precedent.
And
I-
they're also looking at extending their hours in the morning for senior hours.
Well, that means I'll get a discount.
Well, we weren't involved in that condition. That's actually a ZBA
Yeah.
condition.
But
So-
as far as presenting comments to the ZBA,
okay.
if the board had any issues.
You know, on a serious note, people come flying up that hill. If they see that sign, they're going to try to make that, they could slow down and make a turn. I think that's going to be, I think it'll be dangerous as well. Is it where the light's going to be?
The lights are coming, but they're not required before opening.
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, I agree with Katie on the signage. I mean, I think the reality is at speed, you're going to see the sign that's at the street well before you're going to see any additional signing of the building. So, yeah, and we don't need to set a bad precedent.
I also
Yeah.
think most people these days, if you're going somewhere that you don't know, they're using a GPS that's going to be
GPS.
showing them.
That's fair.
And I think we can cut down on the
Yep.
overwhelming visuals.
Yeah.
In terms of hours, I don't have a strong feeling on that.
Agreed.
Okay. We will give the ZBA said comments. Last thing you got is minutes.
All right. Any thoughts, concerns?
No.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of November 1st, 2021. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion. Fred Monaco, second.
All right, Nick,
Nick Papastratis, aye.
Kevin,
Kevin Cantwell, aye.
Fred, you seconded. Did you vote?
Oh, Fred Monaco, aye.
Katie O'Donnell, aye. All right, with that, those are approved. Any other business?
Nope.
I'll make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion to adjourn. Fred Monaco.
All right, roll call. Fred,
Fred Monaco, aye.
Nick,
Nick Papastratis, aye.
Kevin,
Kevin Cantwell, aye.
Katie O'Donnell, aye. All right.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank
Good
you,
night.
Katie.
Guys.
Have a good night, everybody.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.